Time to get the latest in the World Cup action with James Vecina. James, good to see you. It's finally here.
It's finally
the semi-final between France and Spain for a spot in the final.
For a spot in the final, indeed. Two huge semi-finals, as you're aware, coming up. But first, from today, which we're going to concentrate on, France versus Spain. Final before the final, some are billing it as, and understandably so. I mean, two giants of European football. We've got the European champions on one side, Spain, coming up then against France. France who are trying to make it for a third time in a row to the final, and will be doing so then if they do manage to beat Spain. Just a few statistics of an idea of the two going into this head to head. The last three games are not necessarily, the trend is not necessarily in France's favour. As you can see there, Spain have beaten them in the last two encounters. The last time that they met was in 2025 in the Nations League against Spain. Spain coming out on top there, and also in the Euros, the ones that Spain obviously won. So you have to go back to 2021 to see the last time that France actually beat Spain. So teams have changed, styles of playing have changed, less so for Spain than for France. Spain still very, very possessive on the ball, and that's going to be one of the difficulties for France coming up against them, is to try and get possession in it. But some stats in the World Cup: 16 goals for France, 11 for Spain, 2 only let in for France, whilst Spain have only let in 1. That was in their latest game. And apart from that, clean sheets all the way through. So very, very solid in defence for Spain. And that's going to be the real trick for France to be able to try and crack. France have been training at the university in campus in Dallas. It's the Southern Methodist University campus, to be exact. And for the injury updates, well, Aurélien Tchouameni is yet to make a full recovery. He was on the bench in their last game against Morocco, but Didier Deschamps says that he is now available for them after having been given 15 days rest. And the battle then is certain to be a tough one in the midfields with all of that. And Selena Sykes sends us her impressions from Texas ahead of the game.
Well, pretty much just everybody at the World Cup has been asking, can anybody stop France? If anyone has the blueprint to do so, well, it is Spain. La Roja have become a bit of a bogey team for the French over the years. They've won 7 out of the last 10 encounters, most notably back in the Euros in 2024 when they beat them 2-1 in the semi-finals, and then a 5-4 thriller in the Nations League final back in 2025. The French have been lauded for their attacking flair and their style of play, but the Spanish will be looking to dictate play in midfield. They're obviously well known for their ball retention, and that's become even more dynamic under Luis de la Fuente, and obviously with Rodri and Lamine Yamal in their ranks. The French will be outnumbered in midfield, just the 2 players in midfield, as Didier Deschamps has ripped up his script and has got a more attacking style here at this World Cup. It will most probably be Adrien Rabiot and Manu Kone. Still a few doubts over Aurélien Tchouameni's fitness. Obviously, their job will be to feed as many balls as possible to that fearsome 4. Kylian Mbappe, who obviously has 8 goals to his name at this World Cup. Michael Olise with 5 assists. Ousmane Dembélé, and it's looking like it's going to be Désiré Doué on the left flank over Bradley Barcola. A few concerns over Kylian Mbappe. He picked up a knock to his ankle in that quarter-final clash against Morocco. He had a shorter training session than usual on Monday with his teammates, but no concerns. He is expected to start in that big semi-final clash between those 2 European powerhouses.
Well, after that training session, Didier Deschamps confirmed that Mbappe is well, and 100% he even says. He at the same time repeated that he does see Spain as the favourites to win the tournament. Deschamps, though, not letting himself be too impressed by the fact that they did win the Euros. Here he is.
Yes, absolutely, I can confirm. If you see what they've done in the first match against Cape Verde, okay, let's forget about that match. But about the rest, Spain confirmed that they are the favourites. I don't want to add extra pressure to Luis de la Fuente and their team. He knows very well that people are expecting greatly of Spain. But Spain, can they attack as well? Yes, and they can defend very well too.
So Didier Deschamps there clearly So is that subliminal messages? Is he trying to play mind games there?
You've got it exactly, Delano. What is he doing in there? Is he, some idea of mind games happening before the match going on? If it is, he's doing very well at it, and of course, it's a position that he does want to give himself into. Perhaps create a little bit of tension for the Spanish squads in that. But Luis de la Fuente, on his side, he's looking, of course, to try and add a second star to Spain's shirt. They will have had a day's rest in the build-up to this semi-final, having defeated Belgium on Saturday. In terms of the squad, we've also heard from Lamine Yamal, who responded to the country's former Prime Minister's comments that France had no French players in the team. Here he is.
I think we'll be playing one of the most beautiful games in the World Cup. I don't think there's room to talk about that. But football is here to integrate people, to improve society, and there's no better example than France and Spain. We are a good example of integration, and that is football at the end of the day.
And we've had confirmation also, Delano, that there will be a minute's silence held ahead of that game in remembrance, of course, of the attacks in Nice 10 years to date today. Not often, of course, that we do have such moments in at the World Cup, and of course we do try and keep the side of talking about keeping things neutral in a ways, but this does stand out and is a bit of a different situation that we have. We haven't had that necessarily going on in the US in the recent times. Let's just one word before we do move on with regards to the other semi-final to come. The Argentinian squad has arrived in Atlanta. Argentina, of course, who will be playing on Wednesday. Fans greeting them as their coach there arrives in the city. Scaloni's team will be taking on England as one of the biggest rivalries in world football. Returns to the global stage. 2002 is the last time that they met, and we'll of course be covering all of that game for you from Atlanta as well there.
Of course, I'm sure you'll be definitely watching that one for sure, James.
You will be too, Delano.
I will just because out of curiosity tomorrow night. Now, we've also heard from the Senegalese Federation after the sacking of their manager.
Absolutely. First time that we've heard from them. It's been 3 days since Senegal parted ways with Pape Thiaw following the Lions of Teranga's exits from the World Cup. Despite reaching the final of the Africa Cup of Nations in January, Senegal had a rougher time in the World Cup, although it did also just count on some small moments. But in the end, they did lose their 2 opening group games to France and to Norway. Not easy, obviously, coming up against those 2 teams at the start of the competition. More crucially, though, for them was that 2-0 lead that they let slip with just 5 minutes remaining as they lost to Belgium in the first knockout rounds. Could have turned out differently for them, but that's had big consequences for them. The Federation called a press conference where we got the following explanations from its president.
There was outside interference in our relationship. That is my conviction, because Pape Thiaw and I always were on the same page. But at a certain point, I realised there had been a breakdown in trust. I went to see him in his room and spoke to him frankly. I think he was unable to move past that. I believe this situation may have had a negative impact on the way the team functioned.
Now, our colleague James Mulholland spoke to African football specialist Ojara Babatunde, who said that he wasn't surprised to see that as an outcome. But as you're about to hear, there's a sense that the atmosphere within the team has been tense for quite a while. Pam Gay, of course, vowed not to return to the team until there were changes with the staff, as well as this.
The president of the Senegalese Federation came on here to say, in a press conference saying their team doctor, he didn't know he's a gynecologist and he has to be in lead of his duties as well. So a lot of things, to tell you, goes beyond the football setting and everything is coming to play. Immediately they lost to Belgium again. We saw how one of their players went on here on his social media, on Instagram, to release a statement saying he's stepping back from the national team duties until they get a new coaching staff. So that's to tell you, it goes beyond sporting football activities in the Senegalese camp. They were delayed in the United States for like close to 5 or 6 days before flying back after being eliminated at the World Cup. So a whole lot happened and contributed to their defeat, if you ask me. But then the federation has been moved, it's been shaken. There have been a couple of names going around, according to various reports. We've got the likes of Habib Beye, who was a French footballer and also played in Senegal at some point, and also Patrick Vieira, who's at some point the coach of OGC Nice, and also coming with the experience of managing Crystal Palace. And also, we've got Hervé Renard, the Frenchman who has won 2 African trophies, and who is the man who's coming with a lot of experience playing in the African football. So I think one of those 3 names should be, or probably will be the one to take them to the next step, and also probably get them their second trophy, like you said, depending who you're asking about how many AFCON the Senegalese team have won.
To remember there, the medic was a gyno, it turns out, from what we found out from then. Of course, not just that, he had also qualified, had other qualifications as well. But that coming out from the Senegalese time, difficult to imagine that they didn't know it before. But there's something definitely going on, and something creating new space anyway that they wanted to, and trying to overhaul probably the team with all that. Let's just finish on a positive note though, Delano, you're going to like this. Norway's players who were greeted by masses of fans, over 100,000 people are believed to have flooded the streets of the capital, Oslo, to give their team a hero's welcome. Look at that. Turning their elimination into a national celebration. It certainly is. Prince Haakon was there, beating the drum as the crowds took part in the rowing display, as well as the team there, the rowing display that we've seen fans take part in at the games, but also the players celebrate with at the end of them. Norway, who were beaten in extra time by England in the quarterfinals at the weekend. And that is quite simply the best results that the team has ever achieved at the World Cup. So obviously, with that, Delano, makes total sense to go and celebrate that at home, as you can see there.
That's a lot of people who've come out.
That is a lot of people. I don't know if they anticipated so many, but it just gives you an idea of how exceptional it was. And yeah,
It's crazy how everyone's talking about Norway, and especially Haaland.
Erling Haaland, indeed.
Very young, right?
Very young indeed, and doing the job for them. And quarterfinals, you can't complain.
And he's a social media star, so that always helps nowadays. Thank you very much for that. James Vecina there with the latest action of what's about to come tonight with the football. We'll see what happens. More news coming up. Stay with us.